Alrighty, guys. So, hello. I hope you can hear me. If someone can hear me and you can write a quick message on the live chat that everything is technically okay, that would be wonderful. So, yeah, just to start with, and just to wait for perhaps a few more people to join. I am currently in Tenerife in Almeida still. So, I've been here since November and was planning to leave around a week ago, but due to the COVID-19 and the quarantine season, it turned out that I'm going to be staying here for the foreseeable future up until it ends. And yeah, we're not allowed to leave the house unless we are going for shopping or other emergencies. So it's been pretty much sitting at the house for the past few weeks. And yeah, let's dive straight into today's topic, which is slalom windsurfing and starting slalom windsurfing. This is what I've been doing for most of my life and what I know most about. And so I'm talking about it. And yeah, so starting slalom windsurfing, how do you do it? So first of all, as long as you have any planing windsurfing equipment and a wetsuit, you can start slalom windsurfing basically and slalom windsurfing racing. And you don't need really anything else. And slalom windsurfing experience on the race course is definitely the most important thing that you can have. And therefore, the sooner you start, doesn't matter what equipment you have, and start going to local small races, club races where you're going on a slalom course, the better it is. So, going about what kind of races you should start with, it depends from country to country, but usually you do have several levels of competition. And so just start at your closest reservoir, lake, seaside, beach club, which organizes some fun races, and go to them and try to join them on equipment that you own. So yeah, that would be pretty much the first step. That is how I started in Lithuania back when I was probably around 10 years old and I was just learning how to plane. I joined some local club races and I didn't even know how to jibe at that point. But yeah, that's pretty much how you start. And I was, I think, starting on a starboard go board and a wake sail. And most of the people that I know who are now really good at slalom also started on completely non slalom equipment without knowing too much about the discipline itself. And that's how everybody starts. So if you don't have the equipment, if you don't have a start watch, um, and you think that you first need to gather all those things and learn how to do a planing jibe, feel secure that no one pretty much, or very few guys who started windsurfing do have all those things and all the knowledge before starting. So first step is find the closest slalom course racing that you can and just join it and start doing it. So that is the first thing. And the second question that I get asked quite often is what equipment should I get for slalom windsurfing? And once again, the answer is the equipment that you have now, as long as it's a planing board and it's a sail that you can plane with in given conditions, it's perfectly good equipment for you to start slalom racing with. I think I haven't started using a cambered sail until I was already competing at various competitions for 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that's definitely not an excuse why you shouldn't start. Obviously, if you have some equipment and you think about buying some new equipment for slalom racing, then what I would suggest is, depending on your current level, going towards cambered sails, obviously, and racing boards. But unless you are already into top 10 level of your, or let's say top 15 level of your given country, I wouldn't suggest going into full-on racing gear. So if you are an intermediate windsurfer who knows how to plane in both footstrap, is learning how to do a jibe well, my recommendation for equipment to acquire to use in slalom racing would be um, free race equipment. So that would be 3-cam sail and a free race board. So just a few examples. So from Duotone, it would be the S-Pace, a 3-cam sail. And from Fanatic boards, it would be Fanatic Jag. This is the free race equipment from Duotone Fanatic. And it's a lot easier to use than a full-on racing gear like Fanatic Falcon and Duotone Warp. And the top speed and other top qualities do not differ as much from the Warp and Falcon as you would think. And basically, Duotone Warp, Fanatic Falcon, and other full-on racing sails and racing boards, they do need a really skilled rider to be able to push out the 100% performance out of them, while the free race gear usually is a lot more user-friendly and therefore easier to achieve a good performance level with. So yeah, let me know if you have any more questions about equipment or the competitions where you can start. And I see Dan asked if you really need a start watch as beginner. And the answer is definitely no. What you do need to do is, though, is to go to the skippers meeting and listen very carefully. Skippers meeting, by the way, just I'll explain from the start. Skippers meeting is at the beginning of each race day and each competition. We do have a meeting where all the competitors and the judges gather, and you discuss, or the judges tell you what kind of race course is going to be on the day, what is the wind strength currently outside, how many marks, and in which order you need to take, what is the starting procedure, and any other important issues about the day and the competition. So it's really, really important that you attend these skippers meeting from the very start to the very end as a beginner slalom sailor. And probably when you go for the first one, you'll not understand everything. So just don't be afraid to ask any questions, and especially about the starting procedure and how the heat order, if there is a heat order, going to work, and so on. So getting back to the start watch, if you find out what is the starting procedure and use the tips from my first starting video, you should be fine with pretty much any watch. And to be honest, you can start competing even without having any watch. Once again, even the first international competitions, slalom competitions I did not have a watch, and I was literally counting from the 1 minute flag, which is usually a yellow flag, 60 seconds up to know roughly when I would need to start. And obviously that's not ideal, but as a beginner who is learning just experience, it's not that important to have a start watch, and it's more important to go out, understand how the start procedure works in general, what is the course, how to find your way around the marks, and having a start watch is not necessary. And even now, I'll give you an example. Just recently, during the Tenerife slalom trainings, my start watch that I had broke, and I did not have a start watch for the last month of training that I was doing. So luckily, I had this Garmin GPS watch, but it just has a simple countdown, and that's it. You press that 4 minute start. You don't have any sync buttons, nothing, and I made it do, and I hit some perfect starts. Just having that, obviously, it's a lot more difficult than with a start watch, but it's definitely possible. So therefore, if you don't have a start watch and perhaps you don't have the money to invest into one at the moment, once again, don't let that deter you from starting in competitions. But once you start doing a few competitions and you are sure that this is what you like and you enjoy doing it a lot, make sure. Sorry, just lost my train of thought. Yeah, just basically once you start doing that and you realize that this is what you like to do and you'd like to get at a better level, then of course do buy a start watch as soon as you can, as it will help you approach the start in a much more timely manner. And that's about the start watch. Let's see. And the next question, or should be, and hopefully is, how sailor. So one of the most obvious thing is just try to attend as many competitions as you can. So in each country, you'll have some club level competitions where each small windsurfing club organizes its own competitions. You'll have some national circuit races. You'll have national championships, and you have going up regional championships, and finally international events. So start out doing club races at your local club, and then try to drive around if you can and do as many club competitions around you as you can. And once you reach that level, you'll probably meet some people who are doing national level competitions from those club races as well. So you can ask them where do they go for their competitions and just try to follow them around, and perhaps in this way get into the national circuit. just so you know, everyone on these club level competitions and national level competitions is really, really friendly, and they do want as many racers joining the circuits as possible. So if you'll express any interest in joining the circuit, I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to help you, and they'll give you all the knowledge you need about your local competitions, where are they happening, and how you can find them. And yeah, so the way to improving through competitions would be starting club level competitions, nationals, national championships, and then from there, if you are really hooked in, you go on to international events. And with regards to training part, is very important to spend as much time on the water as possible. So that's the first thing. And then, if you can afford it, during the winter, wherever you live, most of us live in places where during the winter you cannot train that much at your home spot because it's just simply too cold. The lakes or sea freezes over, um, or something like that. So I do weather destinations during winter to spend some time on the water, uh, on slalom gear, ideally, or whatever the gear you'd be using for slalom competitions during the winter time, because taking 3, 4, or more months off during the winter really slows down your progress. And if you're already at a, let's say, top 15, top 10 level at your national championship, then the next step for improving would be going into the training events, such as Tenerife, how's it called? TWS slalom trainings here in Tenerife. There's also training happening in Tarifa, and I think sometimes they have it in Lanzarote as well. These are the three main training events that are well organized and open for everyone to take part in, that I know. So if you are at an in kind of like higher level of slalom training and you want to improve more, make sure you do attend those, because this is the best way to improve your sailing for sure. And yeah, don't be shy. Put the questions in comments of live. I'll see if any questions pop up. Talking a little bit more about training, and this is slalom competitions, where you live and you want to improve and to get better at them. There are probably 5 main different things that help you be to help you improve your results in slalom windsurfing. So first is your technique. So how good you're handling the board, the sail around the course. Second would be third would be physical preparation. Fourth would be technique and strategy, and strategy one more time on the race course. And finally, is psychological preparation. So first, for technique on the water, just spend as much time on the water as you can and do as many competitions as you can, so that you get comfortable with the equipment you're riding, you get better at jibes, and you get better at handling various conditions on the water. Second, equipment tuning. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So whatever equipment you have, you want to make sure that you're going as fast as you can on this gear. And to do that, all you need to do is just watch the Freeride Web Clinic videos on my channel and try to follow along them and change the settings I'm talking about there to see which ones make you feel more comfortable with your gear and go faster. And if you want to find out if certain settings change help you to go faster or not, one option is to use the GPS watch, like I have Garmin Phoenix 5, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but there are a few other brands that you can use. So basically, if you have a GPS watch and you have an app telling you it speeds your the watch, change something on the gear, go back out and see if you're reaching higher speeds or lower speeds. If the conditions didn't change and you're consistently going faster, then you know that the improvement you made is better. Another option is testing with a buddy. So that would mean that you're sailing with a friend of yours. You go out together, you go next to each other, one below and a little bit in front, like this, and one a little bit back and above. And you go one way, you switch positions, you go a little bit further, you jibe, and you come back the same way. And you check which one of you is faster and which one of you is slower. Then only one of you make one change, for example, put on a little bit more downhill, and you go back out on the water and test the same way again. One tack, go back, another tack. If you now have improved, you know that the adjustment you made is helping you to go faster. You should write down on a notebook and on the sail or on the board what adjustment that is with which you're going fastest, and then you can go on to test another thing, for example, a different fin. So that is a great way to improve your overall speed. And you should do this every single time you're sailing and you have someone to test with, especially if it's a new spot or you have some new piece of gear. You should always find a friend and try to go out, do 2 tacks back and forth, change something that you're not sure about, and go back out and test that thing again. So that's the main way of how you get faster. Basically, just going out with a GPS watch or with a buddy and constantly adjusting your settings. And if you find a perfect setting for, let's say, medium gear in 7.7 at your home spot, and then you go to a racing spot, which is in a different place, you should go out and test those settings again and see if they are working as well in a different spot as they were in your home spot. So that is about the second point, which is how to get faster by tuning the equipment. Third was the strategy. Did I say strategy? I said strategy many times. Basically, strategy on the race course. This thing you can only improve in 2 ways. One is racing, and second one is racing in training during that I talked about previously, such as 10-week windsurfing solution camp or the one in Tarifa that they have. So these are the best ways to improve your racing strategy, and this is the reason why I'm coming here every year. The main difference between me and, let's say, the top level guys in PWA is not speed. Obviously, speed is different as well, but it's racing strategy now. It's being able to consistently come up with a winning racing strategy and to be able to execute that. And it depends on so many different things, and that only experience on the race course is going to help you learn that. So that's why it's important to spend as much time racing from the very, very beginning as you can. And I think I'm going towards my last point. So if you have any more questions, make sure you pop them in the chat on the right-hand side. But yeah, the last point is to fast track your improvement as a windsurfer, even if you're not doing slalom racing, but especially if you are doing slalom racing, is windsurfing clinics organized by slalom sailors. So almost in every country, you have a top guy who most usually is in PWA. If we're talking, let's say, about Europe especially, almost every country has a PWA representative, and they do organize windsurfing clinics every single year. And some people think like, oh, spending 150, 200, or 300 euros for a day of sailing with someone is not worth it, and I'll better invest in a new fin. But let me assure you that if you are spending one day in a clinic with a PWA windsurfer, you will improve from that much more than you would from just buying a new fin, new boom, or something like that. The level of knowledge that the top PWA guys can teach you in one day and judge what you're doing good, what you're doing not so well, and help you improve those areas is really, really astonishing. And I'm sure all of you and me as well would benefit immensely from that. I'm lucky to have quite a few good friends who are PWA windsurfers, and they're helping me all the time. So just to shout out a few names is Enrico Marotti, Maciek Rykowski, Jody Wong, Matteo Iachino, Mark Lang. I've sailed one-on-one with them many times, and each time I learned so much from them. I'm just trying to help them test something, and they would give me some advice on how I can improve. So kind of like a clinic in a sense, and the advice they give is invaluable. So I do really recommend if you have the opportunity to go one of the top guys' clinics. So yeah, I'll hang around for another 5 or so minutes and see if you guys have any questions. You've been quite shy, quite quiet so far. Let's see if you new guys just joined in around now. So just as a reminder, topic is slalom racing, how to start it, how to improve it. So if you have any questions, just pop them in and I'll try to get back to you. Yeah, so to reiterate, all the points I made, start racing as soon as you can, even if you don't have any slalom equipment, you just need a planing board and any sail. Try to go to your local club races and start doing them, see how well you can do, and then slowly improving the level of races to regional, national circuit, and then into the international one. It's a lot of fun, and I promise you, you'll really, really enjoy it. I'm just gonna write out the things I talked about on the comments so someone can each and read them. Okay, so I see there's one Lithuanian question. I actually don't know how many of you are Lithuanian, how many not, so I'll give a quick answer in English and then a quick answer in Lithuanian. So, the question is, are there any opinions or ideas about reducing the size of the biggest board and the biggest sail of slalom with the foil coming to the circuit? So as some of you might know, we will be able to choose fin or foil in slalom racing in PWA, the upcoming season. And so far, we have all still decided that we are staying on the 85 centimeter wide boards and 8-4 sail as the biggest what we're going to use on a slalom course with a fin. I know one or two guys who decided to go with 81 centimeter wide boards as their biggest board in PWA for the next season, but both of them have already tried the 81 centimeter board before and used them in racing before. So these are usually the lighter, slightly lighter guys. But yeah, in general, people still go with the 85 board to carry the 8-4 sail in the slalom racing in PWA, or let's say so far here in Tenerife racing training, and no one really has reduced their big board size significantly due to the introduction of the foil. And yeah, just to talk about the reasons for that. So basically, people still believe that 484 to go fast, to go through the jibes, and be competitive all around the course, you still need the big board. Because from what we found out, the foil is slower than 8.4 and big board as soon as 8.4 becomes fully powered up and is going on the rail, on the fin, and you're not stopping through the jibes. And with the 85 centimeter board, that area, that zone of when you become powered up on the fin, you reach it sooner than you would on, let's say, 80 centimeter wide board or 75 centimeter wide board. And that you want to reach it as soon as possible so that you would be faster than the guys on the foil. So therefore, we haven't seen many guys say like, oh, now I'm going to be using a smaller board because the foil has been introduced. But, we might be proven wrong. And the only way to find out if it's actually a correct decision or not is to go on the race course and test it out through various eliminations, various locations, and various competitions. So I guess once the racing starts in PWA, hopefully this season, we will find out if we need smaller boards for 8.4 than 85 centimeters or not. So yeah, just to reiterate, this is just now a general slalom questions about slalom or racing or that. Feel free to ask. It's quarantine time, it's lockdown. I'm not rushing to go away anywhere, so feel free to write and post any questions. Okay, let's see. You see, Adrian is writing a question. Don't worry, buddy, just post it and I'll answer it as good as I can. I think the question was from Adrian was with regards to small sails and slalom. So just to talk about my quiver, that I used last year, and I'm gonna be using the same quiver this year for slalom racing on the fin. So have the 98 liter 63 centimeter wide Falcon, 115 liter 71 centimeter wide Falcon, and 85 centimeter wide 140 liter Falcon as my boards, and I have 84, 77, 70, and 62. 2 meters tall, 93 roughly kilograms, 94 perhaps now after a few days of quarantine. So yeah, that's the quiver I use. Yeah, so if you do need 5 sail or just go with 6. Yeah, so basically it depends a lot on your weight and your size and your skill level of what sails you need. But in general, if you are above 85 kilos, I do not think that you need to have a below 6'2" slalom sail. I've been only using 6'2" for the past as my smallest sail for the past 3 years, 4 years, let's say. And okay, there every year there's some competitions, some conditions where I wish I had the 5'4", but it's less than 5%, probably a lot less than 5% of the time that you need the 5'0", 5'2", 5'4", 5'6" sail. And I don't have a lot of money. Don't have a lot of money to dish out on equipment, so I don't think it's a wise investment for me to buy a 5'0" to 5'6" sail. If the conditions are super hard, I'll just suffer on the 6'2", just kind of complete the race. But yeah, I wouldn't buy 5'5" if I'm above 85 kilos. As for the foil, I've been using. So yeah, with the foil, I've been using the foil with a custom 9.0 sail and an 8.4 slalom sail, or even 7.7 slalom sail. And for the competitions, I'll use it with a custom foil duotone or foil 8.8 as my light wind foil slalom sail. And then if the wind increases, I'll go down to slalom fin. But I think if you're trying to have minimal quiver, for slalom and slalom foiling, my suggestion would be 8.4 slalom sail that you can also use in light wind for slalom foiling. Then 7.7, 7.0, 6.2, and 3 boards. If you're really minimalistic, you don't need a foil board. You use the foil in your big slalom board. But then you have your covering conditions from, let's say, 7 knots to 35, 40 knots, 3 boards and 4 sails. That's my advice for minimalistic slalom quiver. To talk a little bit more about foil with the big slalom board, you're not gonna be planing as early as you would with a dedicated foil board or with an older formula board. But yeah, the difference will be, I would say, with a foil board and foil or formula board, you'd be planing with, I don't know, let's say 5-6 knots. With slalom board and the same foil, same sail, you'd be planing in 7 to 8 knots. So the difference is not that big. Okay, I'm 72 kilos, and with regards to the 5.5 sail, I mean, yeah, being 72 kilos, you'd probably use the 5.5 in similar conditions that I do use the 6.2 sail. But then once again, think about how often would you go with that 5.5 sail? Would you only use it in competitions, or would you also be training in that? Because, for example, personally for me, I know that when it's like 5.5 conditions, I would train in those conditions for sure, because I love highland slalom and so on, but I also love wave sailing and strong winds. So then it would be overlapping quite a bit. So therefore, the usage of the 5.5 reduces even more. So you have to take into account that. Also, perhaps your local spot, if you live near the sea, when it's 5.5 conditions, you wouldn't be able to get out through the shore break anymore with the slalom gear, and you would need to go onto a wave gear. So yeah, in general, I think the 5.0 to 5.5 sail does not get a lot of usage. And if you're a really dedicated slalom sailor, you will use it in strong wind and strong conditions. But the value for the money is not as high as investing into a lighter wind sail for most uh, destinations, most spots. Of course, if you live in Posen and want to sail slalom, then you do need a 5.5 and probably like a 4.7 slalom sail as well. But that's quite a specific place. Okay, so once again, I'll stay for another 5 minutes, see if any more questions pop in. Okay, I see. How do I start racing is a question from a user with a very difficult name. So yeah, just I'll basically, if you are have any sort of equipment already, you're planning along your home lake, sea, bay, whatever, you are ready to go racing. You don't need to know how to do a jibe, which a lot of people think. You don't need to have a racing gear, and you don't need a stopwatch. You just need will and dedication. And so, what you need to do first is to find out where is the closest competition to the location where you live at. So, the best way is if you know any guys who are already racing and doing some races in your local spot, just go and ask them. Try searching on Google and Facebook if you have any local windsurfing clubs around you. They will also have a good knowledge of what's happening in the windsurfing scene, what kind of competitions there are throughout the year. And yeah, basically, what all of the search should give to you is one local windsurfing club, which organizes some fun races throughout the year. And you find out when those races are. You can drop a message to the club. I'm sure they will be more than happy to answer any extra questions that you have. If you need to register in advance, if you need an insurance or anything like that, and then you just show up on the day to the racing site, nice and early, at least 1 or 2 hours before the skipper's meeting. You rig the equipment which you normally rig for free sailing in those conditions. You go to the skipper's meeting, which is the meeting of the judges with all the competitors, and you listen to what the organizers and judges have to say about the conditions for today. What is the race course? How many marks? Where is the start? Where is the finish? If there are any heats or if everyone is starting together, and what is the starting procedure? Then, if you have any more questions, you go and ask the judges. They will be more than happy to answer for a first time racer. And then you sail up to the starting zone nice and early before your heat, before you start. And you should know the starting sequence by now. And you look at the flags, you look when your heat is, and then you start the race as close to the starting time as possible. Basically, that's all it is. Whatever equipment you have doesn't matter as long as you have wetsuit and a planing board, planing sail. All sails are pretty much all boards are planing. So yeah, and you go and have fun, and hopefully you get hooked and want to learn more, want to do more races, and want to improve in them. So hope that helps. Good luck, Adrian. He's going sailing with a 6.5 in his home spot in Switzerland. That is awesome. Have fun, Adrian. Sail for all fun. So yeah, I see there are still some people hanging around, so perhaps still thinking about the questions they want to ask. So anything slalom or foil racing related, just pop your questions in, and we'll get to them. Yes, one other thing I can talk about is I know if there are any youngsters, any kids around who are just thinking about starting to race. Um, but yeah, so one way you can get into racing is big techno. I know a lot of small windsurfing clubs all around the world have big techno racing, and they race in many cool courses, including up and down courses, as well as sometimes slalom courses or a slalom course introduced into horse racing. So, if you are a kid, teenager, and you want to get into slalom racing, but perhaps you don't have the equipment, your parents are not into windsurfing, and you don't have a way how to go to slalom competitions, joining a local club which does big techno or any other sort of racing, and they give you the equipment and support you is a good option to start out in general racing. And even though it's might not be slalom racing straight away, and the experience you gain there of first of all physical conditioning, second of all technique of windsurfing, understanding of how races are run will be very useful to you in the future if you do transition into slalom, windsurfing. But also, if you have parents who are windsurfing and want to go into racing, just let them know, and hopefully they will support you with that. And even if there are no other kids who are racing in your area, don't be afraid to go and race the adults. Um, it's very fun beating older people, as I remember since I raced as a kid myself, makes you really happy beating guys and twice your size and twice your age or more. So, last question round. If you have anything else you want to ask about slalom sailing, slalom racing, pop it in, and we'll get back to you. Okay, so I think the questions have dried out for now. I've covered all the things I wanted to cover with regards to starting slalom racing. I hope it was useful for you guys. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment on any of my videos or specific videos. And I think I will do another live video on my Instagram at the end of this week on Friday. So subscribe to my Instagram at Ritas_Yas, and same as YouTube. And I will do another live video there at the end of the week. So thanks for tuning in today. If you can go windsurfing, go windsurfing. If not, stay at home and do some exercises at home. Bye bye.